We are seeing relatively normal life, like packed football stadiums this weekend. I just can't get over the pictures of those outdoor stadiums. Dr. Schaffner, even if, these events are happening outdoors, are crowds like that safe?
Oh, Anna, we wouldn't ever talk about being safe. I don't use that four-letter word. But these crowds do provide a risk.
The science tells us that this is a virus that does not discriminate. It doesn't care why it is that people are gathering, but it does care about the conditions under which they're gathering. So outdoors, much safer than indoors.
We've seen some data that has shown that indoor events have led to outbreaks. I mean, whether it be a Trump rally or a wedding, we're going to be talking about that later, a wedding in Maine. What has the data shown us on outdoor protests? Have there been super spreader events tied to protests?
Of course, there have been infections, and we should be clear that outdoor protests with a lot of people still have risk of transmission and ideally should not happen in the middle of a pandemic either. But there have not been surges of infections that have been tied. There was a study looking at over 300 cities where protests occurred, and they did not find surges of infections tied to these protests.
Pictures here now, big crowds in stadiums, not clear who was required to be vaccinated. Recommendations for masks, but as you can see in these pictures, folks just weren't doing it. If we keep doing this, are we going to be kind of stuck in outbreak mode?
We could be stuck in outbreak mode, and that's why I think what you're going to be seeing, in addition to the fact that where people are getting voluntarily vaccinated, I think you're going to see a lot more local mandates, Jim.
People should not be walking around with masks.
You're sure of it? Because people are listening really closely to this.
Right now, people should not be walking. There's no reason to be walking around with a mask. You don't need to be walking around with a mask right now. Masks, quite frankly, are more important for people who are infected to prevent them from infecting someone else.
In fact, you need some supplementation to just physical distancing. And that's the reason why some time ago, the recommendation was made, I believe it was Dr. Redfield at the CDC who first said that, about getting some sort of a covering. We don't want to call it a mask because back then we were concerned we would be taking masks away from the healthcare providers. But some sort of mask-like facial covering, I think for the time being, should be a very regular part of how we prevent the spread of infection.
One mask is better than zero masks. Two masks is better than one mask. But you don't have to have double masks. Is that right? I mean,
it is.
And now we're hearing we should wear two. Where do you stand on that? If I go to the grocery store, do I wear two? Do I wear three? Is it safer to wear 8? Where does it stop?
Well, the discussion is changing, not the goalpost. So the CDC doesn't officially recommend wearing double masks.
Okay.
What we're trying to do is to get individuals who are not wearing masks to wear masks.
Coming down really, really very low. I want it to keep going down to a baseline that's so low that there's virtually no threat, or it'll never be zero, but a minimal threat that you will be exposed to someone who is infected.